Here are the schools and colleges that have banned the use of ChatGPT over plagiarism and misinformation fears. At Insider by Patrice Nolan. Education officials are trying to stop students from using OpenAI's ChatGPT. Several school districts have banned the bot, citing fears of plagiarism and false information. Universities in India and France have also taken steps to stop the use of ChatGPT. New York City Department of Education, like you mentioned, we've got Los Angeles Unified, we've got Seattle, Baltimore, and then again, internationally, we've got Australia, New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, and then, of course, France, India, among others. It seems like it's primarily at the university level, but also a little bit, it's a mix. It's a mix of, in the US, certainly, it's a mix of university and, I guess, elementary or high school, but it seems like it's primarily at the university level, according to this article anyway, overseas. Thoughts on ChatGPT getting banned in schools?
When I was in college, this is a while ago, there was an app called Wolfram Alpha. What it was doing was you could put in any calculus problem and it would show you step by step how to solve it. Once my friend and I figured this out, we ran all of our calculus homework through that thing. We were going through everything in the book to try to figure it out. And we had about 3 to 4 months, I think, that we were able to use it before they finally had some media stuff on it. Everyone realized what it was, and all of a sudden it would only tell you the answer, basically. And what their solution was, because when you're solving a calculus problem for school, you have to show them all the steps. You can't just give them the answer.
Show your work.
Yeah, so by removing the showing of the work, of the steps, they stopped all of that. It was no longer useful to cheat for students, whereas the adults could still presumably use it. I mean, Wolfram Alpha is still around now, so it's definitely being used still. They survived through that. So as soon as ChatGPT came out, it was only the beginning of, December, I want to say, when it came out. It's been out for 2 months at this point. As soon as it did, you knew that students were going to be on that thing. Things were popping up left and right, headlines. I think the most recent one was where they made it pass the bar exam. The Onion has a great headline about, I think it was called ChatGPT forced to take bar exam but wanted to be an art bot. That made me laugh so much. People have been using it to do homework, basically, because it is not a great writer, ChatGPT, but it does know the answers and it knows enough to get through. And if they had this when I was in college, I 100% would have used it. But the other thing to think about is that they only banned all of these things within the schools, like on their school networks, essentially. So if you're connecting to their school network, you can't do that. But if you just go to the store and you buy a dongle for your laptop, you can just connect to the cell network, or you can tether it to your phone, depending on how your phone works, and go off of the cell network, and you can still access it in class using that. They can geo-restrict things in certain ways, but they're not going to be able to really stop you if you really go out of your way, go through a VPN. There's a lot of ways that you can get into ChatGPT regardless of whether or not they let you. It's a web-based app, and there's a lot of ways to get around web blocks.
I was thinking, so it's your fault, this Wolfram thing, it's your fault that I had to do all my homework longhand in collect.
Well, my generation, it was our fault.
When you were ending that, what struck me is the whole idea of how motivated you are. And again, like you said, just to show your work aspect. So essentially, using ChatGPT like a calculator, or like the person who makes the rough draft of your term paper that you then have to massage and rework to actually make it presentable before you turn it in. How do you check for that? And presumably a lot of this stuff is going to be done outside of the classroom. So when you're at home and you're not on the school network, who cares? Or not, they can't enforce these things. Essentially, the primary enforcement is going to be preventing you from doing it in the classroom, during tests. I don't say demonstrations, but live sort of math problems or live sort of free writing things that you do on the day. Using ChatGPT for homework is still going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing basically forever. And how motivated you are to use it is going to determine whether or not you do. Similar to, there's certain cultures, parts of the country and the world where trying to solve the test, trying to pass the test is seen as just the norm, teaching to the test, etc. So they can say the official policy is don't use it, but there's sometimes a discrepancy between what an official policy is, what a rule is, and then what the norms of a given area or situation are. I often remember coming up in different companies as a younger man in my working life, having to figure out the distinction between what the official rules are and what everybody knows is the norm on the job. And it's important to always keep those things separate, because oftentimes you will be asked, hey, what are the official rules here? Like if OSHA comes in, what are you supposed to say? Versus when you're actually doing the job, like what are you supposed to do?
I was an honor student. I was, I don't know, savant. So I cheated for a lot of people by finishing the test and just giving them the answers while I was sitting around doing nothing else. I remember the first bad grade I ever got was in a chemistry class, and it was because I had gotten the right answer, but I didn't write it in the way that he was trying to teach. It took me 2 tests before I finally just figured out how to format it his way, even though I was getting everything right. I had all the right answers. I was showing my work. I just wasn't doing it his steps. Who was it? I want to say it was Joe Rogan. Somebody I was listening to that was debating with somebody about the use of ChatGPT in schools, and that was bringing up how kids can cheat and they're not going to learn the lessons of what they were meant to learn. But from the time, I'm 42 now, and so 20 years ago, this was before Common Core math, for example. The change to Common Core was something that completely rearranged the order of operations, and now everyone was getting in trouble for not doing it a different way, and Common Core was probably closer to what I was doing at the beginning when I was getting in trouble for doing it. As time went on, my method, I suppose, got to put into use. But going through all that, regardless, after you get out of school, the very first thing any job will tell you is forget what you learned in school, because that's not the way that we do it. So you've learned this entire way. Even if you're good at school, you game the whole system, you get into your real job, you're not going to be prepared regardless of whether you did the work on your own. If you do what you're supposed to do and you just, okay, well, if I get these grades and these classes, I'm going to go to the next level next year, then I become from a freshman to a sophomore to a junior and senior and all this. That's not how the business works. You don't ever get promoted every year in business. They don't just, oh, well, you came in, you did your job, so now we're going to promote you. Every year that's going to happen. Like, no. If you're lucky, like every 5 or 10 years, you might get some vanity promotion like that. But if you really want to get a promotion in business, you have to sit there and really apply. Legitimate, like apply. It's actually fill out the application, but apply it for everything. You have to apply yourself to all of it. You have to take the lead and have that presence, constantly always be selling yourself kind of thing. And that's not at all what school is like. So if anything, the people that are cheating, those are all the entrepreneurs in my mind. They're the ones who are going to do well and become CEOs and all these other things too, because they're the ones who are actually, this is the problem that I have. I'm getting it done. I'm giving them what they want. Whether or not you learned, like if Macbeth, we'll use that as an example since it's AI related now from the last segment, but if I read Macbeth versus like watching a movie based off of it versus read the cliff notes or whatever, I'm still going to pass the test. I'm still going to get the job done however it needed to. I can choose on my own as an adult. Like I do this for clients all the time. There's certain things where I'll just quick get them something that they need without learning anything because I'm just giving it to them, doing some kind of like blue collar work on my end on that for that task. But if I choose to sit there and immerse myself in something and actually learn, like it's my choice to do that. And it doesn't necessarily need to be done for every assignment. I don't need to learn something off of every client assignment that I have, but overall I learned stuff off of my entire career and I have a whole other thing going. But I really like the idea that cheating is not necessarily a bad thing. Cheating's not cheating basically because ChatGPT is being used in the real world right now. How do you read that all of these places, BuzzFeed and CNET and all these other media outlets are using the same thing that you're told that you can't use? It's just like saying that you can't use Wikipedia as a source in academia. And yet, when I search anything online, the top search result is Wikipedia. And the reason it's the top search result is because that's what everyone's looking at first. If that wasn't the case, it wouldn't be the top result. It was the top result for so long that Google and Apple and everybody else just implemented Wikipedia into the search engines so that we could all see it. We all act as though we don't use Wikipedia and it's bad and you shouldn't use it, but the numbers show that we clearly are using Wikipedia. It is one of the most visited websites on the planet, so clearly everybody is doing something different than they're saying, and kids who are using ChatGPT, I wholeheartedly support you.
Okay, you got the Brian Penny seal of approval. Yeah, I was just going to put a button on and just, a man is only as noble as his options, perhaps, right? So if you have the option to do something, you're probably going to do it. This is Edokwin with Brian Penny for the AI Creator Economy podcast. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You're going to get some good content throughout the week, every week.